millions of years ago, before humans ever walked the earth. There was a time when power was the only law. But some creatures weren't just powerful. They were pure evil. Today, we uncover 18 forensic cases, where the bones themselves tell the story. That dinosaurs weren't just predators. They were nature's darkest experiment. In the dusty badlands of Montana's Hell Creek Formation, paleontologists uncovered something that rewrote the story of the king of dinosaurs. A Tyrannosaurus rex femur, massive, ancient, and scarred. Across the surface were deep, crescent-shaped gouges, each the perfect match for T-Rex teeth. At first, scientists thought it was scavenging, but forensic analysis told the darker truth. The bite marks were inflicted while the bone was still fresh, still covered in flesh. That means this T-Rex didn't feed on the dead. It hunted and tore apart another of its own kind. Researchers from the University of Kansas and Montana State measured the force needed to make those marks. The results were staggering. More than 8,000 pounds per square inch of crushing power. Enough to snap a car in half, or turn bone into powder. Tooth serrations showed the attacker bit, twisted, and tore, leaving spiral fractures identical to those made by modern great white sharks. The bone even showed signs of multiple attacks. Proof of a prolonged, violent struggle. As one researcher put it, T-Rex wasn't just a predator, it was a tyrant in every sense of the word. It ruled not by hunger, but by rage. Deep in the deserts of central Utah lies one of the most haunting fossil sites on Earth. The Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry. When paleontologists began excavating it, they expected a few bones. But what they found was a mass grave. Over 46 dinosaur skeletons were unearthed. Twisted, tangled, and piled together like a prehistoric crime scene. Nearly two-thirds of them belonged to a single species, Allosaurus, the apex predator of the late Jurassic. Forensic paleontologists noticed something strange. These skeletons didn't die all at once. Layer by layer, bone after bone. The deaths had occurred over many years, maybe centuries. The soil chemistry revealed a muddy death trap. A pit where dying animals sank and predators came to feed, only to get trapped themselves. But the forensic marks told an even darker story. On several Allosaurus bones were bite scars from other allosaurs. Cannibalism. The king of the Jurassic wasn't just killing others. It was feeding on its own kind. Paleontologist James Madsen, who studied the site for decades, called it a prehistoric slaughterhouse, where predator and prey merged into one endless cycle of death. Scientists now refer to it as the Jurassic Death Trap, a place not ruled by survival, but by pure ancient hunger. In the burning sands of the Gobi Desert, a team of Mongolian and Polish paleontologists uncovered one of the most shocking fossils ever found. Two skeletons, locked together in eternal combat. One was a velociraptor, the swift, intelligent predator of the late Cretaceous. The other, a protoceratops, a sturdy plant-eater with a parrot-like beak. Forensic analysis showed the moment of death frozen in stone. The velociraptor's sickle-shaped claw, razor-sharp and 6 inches long, was driven deep into the throat of the protoceratops. At the same time, the herbivore's beak had clamped down on the raptor's arm, fracturing it clean through. They killed each other, in the same breath. Sediment samples around the bones revealed a sudden sandstorm or collapse that buried them alive, preserving the scene exactly as it happened. A prehistoric crime scene frozen for 75 million years. Microscopic wear on the raptor's claw showed it was actively slashing at the moment of burial. Even as the sand poured over its body, it kept fighting, kept killing. One scientist described it best. It's the only fossil that shows a predator dying with murder in motion. The world would remember it as the fighting dinosaurs, the eternal struggle of life, death, and pure instinct. In the red rocks of Montana and Wyoming, paleontologists unearthed a crime scene that revealed how terror worked in numbers. Scattered bones of a giant herbivore, Titanosaurus, surrounded by the sharp, curved claws and teeth of multiple Deinonychus. This wasn't a random kill. It was a coordinated hunt. Forensic spacing of the bite marks showed attacks from several angles, with one predator targeting the neck, others the legs and underbelly. It was the first fossil evidence proving that raptors didn't hunt alone. They hunted in packs, much like modern wolves or lions. But the deeper the scientists dug, the darker the story became. On several Titanosaurus bones, they found Deinonychus tooth marks layered over other Deinonychus tooth marks. Meaning, after the kill, the pack didn't just eat the prey. It turned on itself. Forensic analysis of bite depth and spacing confirmed intra-pack cannibalism. The hunters had begun to feed on their own wounded. As paleontologist John Ostrom wrote, "They were not mindless killers. They were organized, intelligent, and ruthless." In the fossil record, the Deinonychus didn't just prove the rise of group hunting. It proved that intelligence itself can be a weapon. In the sandstone cliffs of eastern Utah, scientists uncovered the remains of a predator so massive it redefined everything we thought we knew about raptors. Utahraptor ostromesaurum, a killing machine nearly 23 feet long and weighing over 1,000 pounds. Its claw, curved, 6 inches long and sharp as a butcher's hook, was designed to slice through flesh with surgical precision. Forensic excavation of the raptor nest site in the Cedar Mountain Formation revealed bones of multiple Utahraptors entangled together, adults and juveniles side by side, alongside their prey. The evidence suggested something shocking. Utahraptors may have hunted cooperatively, or perhaps been trapped while feeding as a group. Tooth mark analysis showed overlapping bites, predators biting the same carcass from different directions, and in some cases, Utahraptor bones bearing Utahraptor teeth marks. Paleontologists debated the meaning. Was it teamwork, or cannibalism? One theory stands out. These raptors were drawn into a mud trap while feeding on a dying herbivore, sinking together into the soft clay, preserved mid-feast for over 125 million years. Forensic models showed that once the first raptor was trapped, the others didn't flee. They kept feeding until they too were caught. As one scientist said, "They were too driven by hunger to know fear." The Utahraptor didn't stop killing, even when death was seconds away. The site is now called the Utahraptor Death Pit. Deep in the Sahara Desert, where sand now hides the bones of ancient rivers, scientists found evidence of a predator unlike any other. A hunter built not for the land, but for the water. Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the largest carnivorous dinosaur ever known, stretching nearly 60 feet long, even longer than A.T. Rex. Its bones were first discovered in Egypt in 1912, but World War II destroyed the fossils. Decades later, new remains from Morocco's Kem beds revealed the terrifying truth. Forensic bone density scans showed that its skeleton was unusually heavy, dense like that of penguins and crocodiles, perfect for staying submerged underwater. Isotope analysis from its teeth matched those of fish-eating animals, confirming that Spinosaurus was an aquatic predator, the first of its kind. Fossilized prey bones bore deep, conical punctures that perfectly matched the shape of Spinosaurus teeth, built to grip, not slice, just like a crocodile. Its enormous tail, reconstructed from new fossils, was paddle-shaped, capable of powerful side-to-side sweeps, a weapon and an engine for attack. One fossil of a giant sawfish shows massive bite marks and embedded tooth fragments. Spinosaurus DNA locked in the wound. Forensic teams now believe it ambushed from the shallows, stalking riverbanks and swamps, striking upward from below like a prehistoric alligator. Paleontologist Nizar Ibrahim called it a monster that didn't rule the land, it ruled the rivers. And when it came for you, you'd never see it coming. In the Badlands of Argentina's Patagonia, paleontologists unearthed something that looked more like a nightmare than a dinosaur. a skull with devil-like horns, razor teeth, and a body built for pure speed. Its name was Carnotaurus sastrii, meaning meat-eating bull. Forensic studies of its skeleton revealed a creature unlike any other predator. Its hind legs were long and muscular, built for sprinting up to 35 miles per hour, while its forelimbs were tiny, even smaller than A.T. Rex's. But its neck and tail were reinforced with thick tendons, giving it whip-like turning power. This wasn't a chaser. It was an ambush killer. Fossilized skin impressions revealed a bumpy, armor-like hide, covered in small cone-shaped scales. Natural camouflage that blended perfectly with the forests of Cretaceous South America. And those horns? Not decoration. Forensic modeling of bone stress showed they could absorb massive impact. Proof that Carnotaurus rammed prey or rivals headfirst, stunning them before delivering a killing bite. Bite mark reconstructions indicated a slashing technique, tearing flesh, pulling back, then striking again. A method that caused maximum bleeding in seconds. When researchers from the Argentine Museum of Natural Sciences reconstructed its muscles, they called Carnotaurus a predator designed by evolution for violence. Horned, fast, cold-blooded, the demon bull of Patagonia, and one of the fastest killers to ever walk the earth. On the island of Madagascar, where prehistoric rivers once carved through tropical forests, paleontologists uncovered bones that told a gruesome story. The remains belonged to Majungasaurus crenitissimus, a thick-skulled predator from the late Cretaceous. But what caught the scientists' attention wasn't the skeleton itself. It was the tooth marks. Deep, serrated gouges ran along the ribs and leg bones. Forensic analysis of the bite patterns revealed something horrifying. They perfectly matched Majungasaurus' teeth. There was no mistake. This predator had fed on its own kind. At first, scientists thought it might be scavenging, one Majungasaurus eating another already dead. But microscopic fracture lines told another story. The bones were bitten while the victim was still fresh, still bleeding. In 2007, researchers from Stony Brook University confirmed it. The first clear evidence of cannibalism in a theropod dinosaur. And it wasn't rare. Multiple Majungasaurus fossils showed the same bite pattern. The same depth, the same savage efficiency. Its skull design, short, deep, and heavily muscled, was perfect for delivering a crushing, twisting bite, capable of breaking bones and tearing chunks of flesh. One researcher put it bluntly. Majungasaurus wasn't a scavenger. It was a serial killer of its own species. In the fossil record, it stands alone. The cannibal king of Madagascar. Proof that even among monsters, some were far worse than others. In the windswept badlands of Patagonia, Argentina, scientists uncovered a fossil site unlike anything they'd ever seen. Dozens of massive bones, all belonging to a single species of predator, piled together in the same layer of rock. The creature was Mapusaurus rosei, a colossal meat-eater reaching 40 feet long and weighing nearly 6 tons. A close relative of the fearsome Giganotosaurus. But what shocked the paleontologists wasn't the size. It was the number. At least 7 Mapusaurus individuals of different ages were found buried together. Their bones mingled in what looked like a mass death event. Forensic mapping of the site revealed that they had all died around the same time, not scattered over centuries, suggesting they lived and hunted in a group. Tooth marks on nearby sauropod bones matched perfectly with Mapusaurus teeth, showing evidence of coordinated ambush attacks. Several predators striking at once, bringing down prey the size of a bus. One forensic model recreated the stress on their jaws and limbs, proving they could collectively pull apart Titanosaur flesh faster than any single hunter could manage. Paleontologist Rodolfo Coria described the site as a prehistoric killing field, a pack of giants hunting as one, whether they were true pack hunters or drawn together by death itself. One thing is clear. When the Mapusaurus moved, they moved like a death squad. 7 apex predators, one terrifying purpose. In the plains of ancient Patagonia, 98 million years ago, two giants ruled the earth. One was the colossal Edmontosaurus, 100 feet long, 70 tons of muscle and bone, the largest land animal to ever walk the planet. The other was Giganotosaurus carolinii, a predator built to bring down monsters, at over 43 feet long, with blade-like teeth measuring 8 inches. It was larger and faster than even Tyrannosaurus rex. When paleontologists uncovered the fossil beds of the Candelaros Formation, they found bones from both creatures, predator and prey, preserved in the same ancient floodplain. Forensic analysis of the bite marks on Edmontosaurus bones matched Giganotosaurus teeth perfectly. Deep gouges made while the flesh was still soft, showing that this was not scavenging, but a live hunt. Computer modeling of muscle and jaw structure revealed a scissor-style killing method. The jaws didn't crush like A.T. Rex's. They sliced, tearing huge slabs of flesh with each strike. The predator likely attacked in groups, wearing down the massive herbivore over hours or even days. Fossilized footprints from the same region showed multiple large theropods moving together, a chilling clue that Giganotosaurus hunted in coordinated ambushes. One paleontologist described it best: if T. Rex was the king, Giganotosaurus was the executioner. It didn't just kill giants, it specialized in them. The forensic evidence stands as a grim reminder. Even the mightiest creatures on Earth eventually met their match. In the frozen badlands of Alaska and Canada, paleontologists discovered fossils that defied everything we thought we knew about dinosaurs. Tiny, razor-clawed footprints, large, forward-facing eyes, a skull so advanced it looked more like a bird, or even a mammal, than a reptile. Its name was Titanosaurus, meaning wounding tooth, though barely 6 feet long. It was armed with curved claws, serrated teeth, and most terrifying of all, a brain larger than any other dinosaur of its time. Forensic CT scans of its skull revealed an encephalization quotient, a brain-to-body ratio comparable to that of modern primates. Its eyes were massive, adapted for night vision, giving it the ability to hunt in darkness when larger predators slept. Tooth marks found on small herbivore fossils show precision bites, clean, surgical incisions near arteries and joints, suggesting Truden didn't just attack wildly. It knew exactly where to strike. Trackway studies show groups of Truden moving in patterns, weaving, circling, cornering prey, possibly the first evidence of coordinated pack tactics in a small theropod. Some scientists, like paleontologist Dale Russell, even theorized what might have happened if it hadn't gone extinct. A creature he called the Dinosauroid, a highly intelligent, upright being descended from Truden. Whether or not evolution would have gone that far, one thing is certain: Truden wasn't ruled by hunger or rage. It was ruled by thought. And in a world of monsters, that made it the most dangerous one of all. Buried beneath miles of Antarctic ice, scientists discovered something that shouldn't exist: a predator's skeleton frozen in time. It was found high in the Transantarctic Mountains, in rocks dating back 190 million years, long before the continent froze over. The creature was named Cryolophosaurus elioti, the frozen crested lizard, over 20 feet long, with blade-like teeth and taloned hands. It was Antarctica's first known carnivorous dinosaur, and its remains told a story of survival in a world of extremes. Forensic bone studies revealed unusual growth rings, showing rapid growth during short warm seasons, and complete pauses during the long, sunless Antarctic winters. Its eye sockets were large and forward-facing, an adaptation for low-light hunting, proof that Cryolophosaurus could stalk prey in months of darkness. Fossil evidence around the site included bones of herbivores, with deep gouges and tearing marks, consistent with a powerful predator strike from above. And then there was the crest, a strange, backward-sweeping crown of bone on its skull. Not just decoration. Forensic reconstruction showed it was laced with blood vessels, possibly used for heat regulation or intimidation in combat. Despite Antarctica's deadly chill, isotopic tests on its bones revealed warm-blooded metabolism, meaning Cryolophosaurus could generate its own heat, a trait of the killers that refused to die in the cold. Paleontologists now call it the Elvis of the ice. But behind the nickname lies something far more terrifying. A hunter that thrived where life itself was supposed to end. In the frozen silence of prehistoric Antarctica, Cryolophosaurus was the last thing you'd ever see. In the barren deserts of Mongolia's Gobi Basin, an expedition in the 1940s uncovered something that terrified even the scientists who found it. Enormous claws, each over 3 feet long, curved like sickles, sharp enough to slice through bone and armor. At first, they believed they belonged to a giant carnivore. Perhaps a new species of killing machine related to T. rex. But decades later, when the full skeleton was revealed, the truth was stranger and darker than anyone expected. The creature was called Therizinosaurus kilaniformis, a bizarre dinosaur with a long neck, massive claws, and a body covered in primitive feathers. Forensic bone analysis showed that, while technically a herbivore, it shared the same evolutionary family as Velociraptor, meaning it inherited the tools of a killer. Its claws were not just for plants. They were capable of ripping open predators that dared to attack. One fossil from the Nemegt Formation shows deep puncture wounds on a small theropod, perfectly matching Therizinosaurus claw geometry. Evidence that this gentle giant could fight like a reaper when threatened. Muscle reconstructions suggest each arm could deliver over 1 ton of slashing force. A single swing strong enough to decapitate a smaller predator. Its long, feathered frame and haunting silhouette inspired locals to call it the shadow with knives for hands. And though it may have fed on vegetation, forensic clues prove one chilling truth. Therizinosaurus didn't need to hunt to kill. It simply waited. And when danger came close, it became death itself. In the blazing deserts of Niger, West Africa, paleontologists unearthed the remains of a predator that looked half dinosaur, half crocodile. Its skull stretched over 4 feet long, filled with more than 120 conical teeth. Teeth made not for slicing flesh, but for gripping and holding prey that fought to escape. They named it Suchomimus tenerensis, meaning crocodile mimic. Forensic analysis of its skeleton revealed a body built for ambush. Long arms with foot-long claws, narrow jaws lined with pressure-sensing nerves, and bones dense enough to keep it partially submerged in shallow water. It stalked the riverbanks of the Sahara's prehistoric wetlands, waiting motionless as fish and small dinosaurs came to drink. One fossilized jawbone of a young ornithopod was found with puncture wounds perfectly matching the spacing of Suchomimus teeth, a forensic signature of a multi-prey hunter. Chemical isotope tests on its teeth showed traces of both aquatic and terrestrial prey, proving it wasn't just a fish-eater. It was a river tyrant, striking at anything that moved. With powerful claws, it could drag victims from the shore, twisting them into the water. A move eerily similar to the death roll used by modern crocodiles. But the most haunting clue came from its spine. Elongated neural spines formed a low sail along its back, perhaps used to regulate heat, or lure prey with slow, rippling movements. Paleontologist Paul Sereno described it as a predator that walked like a dinosaur, hunted like a crocodile, and vanished like a ghost. In the Cretaceous rivers of Africa, the water wasn't safe, because Suchomimus was always watching. In the shadows of prehistory, for killers wrote their crimes into stone. Dilophosaurus, the double-crested assassin of the early Jurassic, left behind fossil trackways in Arizona showing multiple individuals moving in unison, proof of pack hunting long before raptors evolved. Its twin skull crests weren't decoration. forensic CT scans revealed blood channels inside, used for intimidation before attack. Victims found near the same strata bore deep, tearing jaw marks consistent with a coordinated ambush. From the deserts of China rose Mononychus, a small, sleek hunter with a single massive claw on each hand, not for digging, as once believed, but for piercing insect nests and flesh alike. Bone microfractures on its claws suggest brutal, repetitive strikes, while residues of chitin and blood proteins found in fossil sediments hint that this night stalker fed on both insects and the dying. Then came Carnotaurus, the bull demon of South America, a lightning-fast predator with horned skulls built for impact. Its forensic muscle reconstructions show it could sprint faster than any large theropod alive, snapping necks mid-charge. Microscopic wear on its jaw joints suggests rapid, repeated head strikes, meaning Carnotaurus didn't chase. It rammed prey to death. In the fossil beds of Patagonia, crushed bones and twisted rib cages mark where it struck, feeding before the blood cooled. And finally, Majungasaurus, the cannibal of Madagascar. Forensic bite mark analysis proved the unthinkable. Tooth impressions found on its own species matched its jaws exactly. This was no scavenger. It was feeding on its own kind. Scientists even found healed bite wounds on skulls, showing these monsters fought each other before the kill. When food ran out, Majungasaurus didn't starve. It turned on its kin. For killers, for continents, one truth carved into fossil bone. Evolution doesn't choose mercy, it chooses survival. From the first pack hunters to the last cannibals, the forensic record is clear. Dinosaurs weren't just beasts. They were nature's purest form of evil.